the class, it shows on
You can also share your screen, and because it takes some time to be able to see it while you are describing.
okay, so the example is the code shows on how we show how classes works. So
Okay.
we store a student class with the description, description like name, age, and grade. And then we store it inside the class.
Okay.
And then we return all the code. We return it to the main code.
Okay.
Where we put the name John, the age 20, and the grade 75.5. But we set a new grade, an updated grade inside there with 85.0, and then it will shows the updated grade for the students.
Okay, this code works.
Yeah, the code works.
Okay, can you run the code? Okay, that's excellent. Okay. So you created the student class in the same file of your main. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. So typically in your software, I mean, when you, as a programmer, now, yeah, okay, it's totally fine that you write it in the same file, but later it should be written in a different file, and it should be called student. Okay. So is that fine? So same like you have done with sprite, the characters that we talked about it in the previous class.
Yeah.
So we put it in a separate file, and the file name have to be exactly the same like the class name. If S is capital, S here also need to be capital. So far is okay, clear?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, then go to the student again, please. Now my question would be, what is that? Any idea what is this called? This is a method that takes some input, that some initial data for the name, age, and grade, and somehow it initializes the internal variables. So this is called class variables. Because why? Because they belong to the class, which is the student. So we call them class variables. And to initialize these class variables to an initial condition, we have a function that always carries the same name like the class. Okay. And when is this function called? This function is called only one time. Only one time. When you say new student. When you say new student, this class is called. If you create another student, here you call student. So this is your variable. You create an object. So we call that an object. This object is of type student, or you can say also another way, this is a student variable that have a data type as a student. So previously we have string variable, string, so S, for example. So this is a S variable of data type string. And we also have I, that is I is a variable, and its data type is int. And maybe we have D, which is double. So D is a variable of data type double. So why this is important? Any idea why we need to name that? So first of all, when you're talking about with other programmers and you describing using technical terms, they will understand you. So, but we cannot say this is an object. This is not objects. So when do we use the term object for a variable? So at the end, this is a variable, yes, but it is more complicated than a normal variable. That's why we call it an object. An object, it is a complex variable that can carry many data types inside it. So the student is just not a normal variable. Here, the S is a string and it carry only one string. It doesn't carry anything else. But here, this student actually have access to carry inside it many data. The name, age, grade, and you can add maybe 10 or 20 more variables inside. So it's a complex one. And this is a complex data type that we are able to simulate the reality in code. So we use that objects. Actually, objects have very strong benefits. First of all, I can ask one of your colleagues to actually make the student class for you. He can design it for you. Okay. And you care only about calling these methods. So he will tell you, Daniel, I'm going to design a class for you that take maybe 5 parameters: age, name, grade, school name. So you can create another thing here, school name, and maybe a parent name, and maybe home address. Okay, so I added 3 more variables. Okay, but you as a Daniel, you don't need to care about that. Your friend or your colleague is the one who is going to build the student class for you. And your job only is to call it and to make use of it here in the main. So you write the code in the main, and he will write how this class is actually implemented. So he will tell you, okay, Daniel, I will build the method for you called getName, and I will build the method for you that's called setGrade, and so on. He will tell you the name of the methods. You only need to call them and use them. But how they are implemented inside student is not your job. It's other colleague job. And typically, this is how work is distributed among teams. Okay, you will find people building classes, and you find other people just making use of the class. So that is how work is distributed. So you don't need to really worry about how the student class is implemented, how it calculates the grade, how it do a lot of technical details inside the class. You don't care about that. And you only care how you use it. You call it, and when you call it, you pass it parameters, and you care about getting the name or adjusting the grade or setting the grade and so on. Okay. Did I make sense, or it's confusing?
Yeah, this makes sense.
Okay. So do you know the name of that method? Any idea?
The name of the method. I'm not sure.
Okay. So this is okay. The method that is called when you pass new here like that, this is called constructor. So this method is called class constructor. So this is our class constructor. So it builds the class for us. So we decided we give it 3 parameters, and it initialize everything for us, and it carry always the same name like the class. Can you call the constructor again inside the main other than this place? No, you can't. It's also called automatically for you. Okay, once you create a new variable, it is called. That's it. This is only one time. Are you able to make different constructors? Yes, you are able to create different constructors. So there'll be multiple there can be multiple constructors inside your class. But are you able to call all of them at the same time? No. You're only allowed to call one of them. And you actually also cannot control which one is called. You have slight control. You have slight control. So every constructor that you can make must have, we call it a different method signature. So, okay, you see here, you have a student method or constructor that takes 3 inputs here. Can you please make another constructor that have also the same name, but get 0 input? So I don't want it to get any input.
So the same name, right?
Same name, exactly, yes. It must be inside the class, yes.
Like this.
Yes, but I want you to make a print statement inside it, please. Write system.out.println empty constructor.
Okay.
Okay. Can you put, please, another print line inside the first constructor? This one. Say constructor that takes 3 parameters. Okay.
All right.
Can you please run, please? So did you see now which constructor have been called?
Yeah, the first one.
Okay, so it is printed out for you here before even he calls the name. So it means that once this is done or executed, this line is executed, then it will immediately print that for you before even the name. Is it clear so far?
Yeah.
Okay, then can you please create another student? No, yes, here. So I want you to replicate that line, but pass no input to the constructor. Okay, so just come here, hover over the student, see what is the error.
This already defined.
So it means that you cannot, I mean, it's not acceptable or it's not logic that when you created an object called student, that you have to use the same name again. So when you're creating a new object, so typically you have to use a different name. Same when we're creating variables, we don't create variables with the same name, right?
Yeah.
So can you give it a different name, please? Because this is totally different from the first object. So call it Daniel, because again, Daniel is a student. Am I right? So I prefer also when you are writing a code that you don't write generic names. Student one and student, this is generic names. Real names, we are trying to actually simulate the reality. In reality, you have to write proper names. Okay, so Daniel is an object or is a student. Am I right? Can you please run your code, please? So what happened?
I didn't read. Oh no, it read empty constructor.
Okay, can you move Okay, just to make sure that everything is clear to you, move that line here. Run, please. Okay. Do you notice when that is printed out?
Yeah, I printed
So it's printed
after.
after updated grade. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it means this called some constructor, and this is called totally different constructor, because we see here different, right?
Yeah.
So are you able to control which constructor you call?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Okay. That is actually good. Okay. Now, can you go down to inside the class student, please? Okay. Yeah. One more step, please, down. Yeah. Okay. So what is this get name?
That name is,
Can you describe it?
it's like returning the output for the student class. Yeah, student variable class.
Okay. So it return the name that is stored, the name variable that is stored inside the student class. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. So anything, this is called a getter. So this is a generic name that we give for all the methods that have the word get here, like that. So any method that you create inside the class that start with get, so we call it a getter. So typically, I would say to you, Daniel, please create getter methods. So when I tell you that term, create getter methods, so for every variable that you have here, you will create a similar method. So for the name, you will call get name. So like that. So this is done. Okay. For the age, you create another method and you call it get age. And what should it return? It should return the age. So this is the second getter method that you created. You created the name, you created the get age, and then you also need to create for the grade. So is it you need to create getter methods for all your class variables? Yes, unless there is some variable that you don't want people outside to see it. So it's like you want to protect it from anybody in the main. So this typically happens. So maybe the person who designed the class designed it to have certain variables that should be only used inside the class. So from outside, you have no access to it. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So you should be making get grade. Am I clear so far?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So this is called getters. And can you go down one more time, please? So, okay, there is, so same like we have getter methods, we also have something called setter methods. So this is common terms that most programmers and most programmers know, and typically it is also taught in courses like that. So here, this is an example of a setter method. So any method that starts with set, so it's called a setter method. You create also for every class variable that you have to create a setter class. So when I tell you create the setters and the getters, so immediately for every one of them, you create a get name and set name. set grade and get grade, set age and get age. So the set takes an input and change the content of the class variable. So this is an input that you give to change what is stored inside the class variable. Is that clear to you? Or confusing?
A little bit confusing, but
okay, tell me what is
getters
confusing.
okay, so setters means we set the input on how we put the students, right?
Yes, can you
We
go to the
set
main? Can you go to your main code?
okay, so we set the name of the name of John and name of John and the age. Like that's how we get the set setters, right?
Yes, yes, true.
Okay.
But I want to actually, I mean, let me clear that to you. You do not call the set name, go up please, in the constructor. You are not, when you call the constructor, you are not calling set name. You call the set name, okay, so you see here, set grade. So this is how you call it. So this is how you call the setter in your main method. So you get the object name, the variable object student that you created, and then you call the method set grade and you pass it something. So this is how you call the set. Okay. And if you want to, so this is a getter. This is how you call a get method from inside the main. So student, it gives you methods that you are able to call to change its content. Okay, but again, you are able, so let me just tell you first. So you are able to get here the name. Okay, the thing is, why we need to complicate ourselves? Why I can't just put the grade here and deal with all the stuff here? Why I need to complicate myself? Create something inside student and then call it and set it. Why this all we have to rotate around ourselves? No, there is a reason. So if, let me just tell you here, although the set grade that you put is very simple, just pass input and then store it inside the variable. But actually, they're supposed, when you reach a senior level, you're supposed to actually implement checks. So you are calling here and passing 85, right? So what if the user pass a string? Well, you should not accept that. So you should implement certain protection inside your set grade method to protect people from accepting wrong input. And so, I mean, this is advanced level. But now, let me go back to the reality. What is still confusing you so far from the setter and the getter?
No, I think I got it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Can I ask you, please, can you put a print statement inside one of the setters and one of the getters? So we do not put any line after the return. Anything after the return will never be executed. So we have to put it before the return. So yes, here. So system.printout name getter. Okay, and you come here.
here.
Here it is okay to integrate because this is, we are using here set grade. So you can put it also under here. It's totally fine because there is no return statement. So system.printout here, grade setter. System.printout grade setter.
Getter.
This is not a getter. This is setter. because it starts with set. So you don't confuse that. When it start with get, it's a getter. When it start with set, do you understand what the meaning start with set?
Yeah.
Okay, can you please run? So where did you call the name getter? So you see it is printed out name getter, right?
Yeah.
Before even you get the John, it get printed out. You know why this is printed out first and not John printed out first? Any idea?
Because the code read the class first. The code read the class.
Mm-hmm.
And it was after before, and it take priority on the getter first.
So it means that it execute that line first before returning the name. Is that true? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. What about the system setter?
So the setter, it puts before the updated grade, because we set that before the return value. Yeah, we set.
Okay, so okay, no, let me confirm and clarify. I know that basically you understand. I mean, I believe that you have clear understanding, but maybe the expressions is not really accurate yet. Okay, but I believe you understand. So void means that we are not returning anything here, but okay. So while we are inside this class, we are not going to print anything. This set grade actually does not return anything. It's void. So what it does, it will execute here line by line until it reaches that braces. Once it reaches that braces, that curly braces here, then it will return execution to the main function, to the main method. Go back to the main, please. So, okay. So I think we, in one of the classes, I need to take you in a step-by-step how you actually use the debugger. Have you used the debugger before?
No, I haven't.
So a debugger, we are lucky that Python and Java have strong debuggers. So they allow us to run the code line by line, and this is used to actually debug our code from issues. So if you want to execute the debugger on PHP or JavaScript or this kind of languages is a piece of hell actually. And until you configure the debugger to really work, it will take maybe a few days if you even manage to make it work at all. So we are lucky here. We don't need to configure the debugger. We just can simply start debugging just by certain menu items here. So if you go down on the run, can you go down on the run menu? Can you pull it down? So they call it here debug. So debug will allow you to run. So when you press run, is typically it will execute all the code from here until here and then exit. But when you run debug, it actually will run here and wait for your next instructions. So it will run this line, a single line, and show you the content and the values that is stored in the variables, your variables. So you will see the student, okay, it's initialized or not. You will see any variable that you have, what kind of value it have inside. So if you have a string S, for example, and then it starts with empty string like that, and then at certain time of the code, you put Daniel inside it. So you be able to trace that. You will see first when it is empty, and then you will see which line will make it have Daniel inside it. So sometimes you have variables that is changed in your big program, and you don't know which actually which line of code that calls that. That happen a lot, and it's not uncommon. It's very common, and that's why it is one of the talents that programmers need to have, and it's actually fun. It's not bad. I mean, when I'm talking like that, definitely because you didn't experience it, so you feel that, oh, this stuff. But actually, programming is somehow fun. You build something and you're happy to make it work. I know that this isolates you somehow from reality, and some people does not prefer to build things in reality, but this is also fun. You build a lot of things and you're able to prove yourself, and you feel satisfied when you build a software that really works and are able to provide a value to other people. That is, I mean, it just takes time to build that knowledge. But again, like we said, debug is very easy, and we will definitely try it one time, okay? But just not to go out of our way. So I would stick to what we are doing at the moment until we have a chance to run this debug. But this is a very, very good way to actually troubleshoot your code. Did I make myself clear so far?
Yeah.
Okay. So can we return back? Okay. So what was we saying just now?
Saying on the
Set
get
grade.
the set grade. Yeah.
Okay. So okay. Let me just clarify that. So when you come to execute the line student.setGrade, so actually we will stop executing anything here. We will go to the method setGrade, and we will go inside it, and there is two lines inside it. The first line is what we say, this dot grade equal grade. This is the first line inside the set grade, and the second line you say system dot out, and you print something out, which is this one. You write system setter, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So first we execute that. Once we execute it, we execute that, and then once we reach the curly braces, so we return back here. So when we return back here, of course, we see that the semicolon we have here. So this means that this totally executed. We don't need to do anything more here. And we move to execute the next line. The next line say what? Updated grade. So that's why first you see that execute, that is printed out, system setter, because it's here first. After you come to the curly braces, then you come to execute that updated grade here. That's why this is executed first. This is executed second, because it's here inside the main. Did I make myself clear? Or it's confusing? Reality, honesty. Where are you?
Trying to process
Okay. So,
information.
okay.
So- Okay, I think so. Yeah, I think it's clear.
Would you like me to repeat again? Would you like me to slow down the way I explain? Because, yeah, I mean, I have to adapt my speed to different students, but I apologize if I start to become a bit faster than usual. So do you need me to slow down my pace so that you're able to catch me? Am I becoming too fast?
Yeah, maybe a little bit fast, but I actually wrote some notes, so I think I get it. Yeah.
Okay.
Manage to-
Okay, so I will try to slow down a bit. Thanks for telling me, and don't be shy to tell me at any time slow down. So some students prefer going fast, and so it depends. So just remind me, please. Okay, let me please try to explain this to you. So when we are executing that line, we actually doing two things. We are printing a text just without any processing. We just, whatever you put it in between double quotation, we will just get it out in the screen. So this is the first part. But when we try to actually do that, we will find, oh, we are not able to print student.grade, because student.grade is not available inside the main. It needs to be fetched out from somewhere. So to fetch it out, we actually need to go inside the student class and see what is stored inside the grade variable, class variable, and then we get it out. So at first, you put 75.5 inside grade, the grade a class variable. Okay, so you first stored grade 75.5. After this, you changed that to 85 here. So if you print that line here, so you will see that you will get immediately what is really stored inside the grade, which is 75.5. But since you already adjusted that here, so it means that we managed to set the value inside the grade from 75.5. We deleted that. We put 85.0 inside here. And then that's why when you print that, it will go inside the class and check what is the current data that is stored inside grade, and it will fetch it out and it will return it out to you here, which is 85. So 85 will be printed out. Is that clear so far?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. So again, what is the benefit? Can you please do me a favor? Can you create another 3 or 4 students here? So copy that, maybe 3 or 4 times under, but give them a different names, please. Okay, so he does not accept that you have Daniel. So you give Lee, Kong, and you just give different names. Okay, can you run? Okay, can you see how many times we created the empty, called the empty constructor?
Yeah.
Okay, so just be aware that this is a tool that help you reserve a place in the memory that can store the name, age, and grade. Just by calling this line, you actually you reserve it in the memory, a place for a student that's called Daniel. And you also reserve it another place that can have name, age, and grade for Lee, and another 3 places for Kong and King. So every one of them can have a name, can have age, can have a grade. So can you call King here and set the grade for King? Are you able to do that? Do you know how to do that?
Set the name for King.
Set the grade for King. Not here. So I want you to call that line for King here. Do you know how to?
One.
Yeah, so you copy that. This is how we set the grade. So set it to 60, please. Excellent. Okay, can you please copy also that line here? So how can you get a King grade? Okay, excellent. Excellent. Yes, that's great. Can you please run and see if it works? Yes, yeah, that's good. That's good. So what do you think? So, I mean, do you see that? Why is it called? Why you get the system setter?
Yeah,
And because what?
because we set the this king grades, we set another setter. We call another setter. No, not setter. We call another setter inside the student class.
Excellent,
Right?
excellent. Yes, but may I know why we see 2 times system setter is printed? Can you please go up? Let me check if there is another system setter that was printed out. So this is the second time. Let me check if there is. Go up, please, on the yep. So do you see any system setter here? Oh, there is another system setter. Can I know this system setter was what?
Was called, right?
Yes, why we call it 2 times? Why we see system setter called 2 times?
Because we call another, we set another parameters inside the system, inside the main.
Okay. Yep. I would like to also try to understand more, because if I'm creating 30 students, maybe I will get confused if every time this system setter is actually called. So can you please change the message here so that it can say, remove the word system and just say setter like that, setter, and say on, then double quotation plus this dot name. So this is on, so space here, and then say okay, and put another space here. Yep. Plus system, this dot name, sorry. Yep. Okay, excellent. Okay. Now try to run, you will get an error. Or maybe you will not get an error. It will, okay. So, okay. It will get you system on null, because yeah, but go up first. I will explain this to you. Can you please go up here, no, in the output.
Okay.
So what do you see here?
Set
on John.
Set on John. Yeah.
Why we see one called setter on John and one we see setter on null?
Because
Any
we
idea?
didn't set the parameter for the name
Excellent,
inside king.
excellent, man. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Good, that's excellent. Yes. So if we set the one on name, then we will be able to see the proper name, right? So
Yeah.
so okay. So again, the student class act as a template. We are able to use it for different students to store different student information. Is that clear so far?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. So is that the only methods that we are able to create inside the student class? No. Actually, it is supposed that you create another method that's called display. So you should make a method that's called display. So it's a void display. And this is not a setter or getter, but this is just a method that takes nothing and try to print out all my 3 variables in an organized way. So this is like, if you want to actually get all the information inside your class just only in one function call or method call, you don't need to say, oh, get the grade, and then, oh, get the age, oh, get the name. No, you can just create one method that can actually display the 3 variables, or even if you have 10 variables, it can make a sentence that display everything for you. So I want you to actually go down and create void display, public void display. Okay, now I want you to make a print statement that show student. So you write here print statement that say student name, and then you put the student name plus you say age, and then you close it, you put age, then you say plus, and you put here got grade, you put like that, plus grade, and then you close your brackets. Actually, this is all can be done in one print statement, but if you prefer 3 print statements, also totally fine. Okay, so totally fine, continue, no problem.
This right?
Yes. Can you please? Yeah, this is totally correct. Can you please go to call that display method in the main? So when you design something here, you have to call it from the main to be able to see the result. Can you call it? So you have many students at the moment. Call it on a student. So this is the first one. I want you to call student.display. You can put it here. So, okay, and that is a beauty also because when you are dealing with an IDE smart like that, he will list to you all the methods that you are able to call. So like that, you didn't even need to write it. So you need to do the same with king. I mean, but you don't write king here before you define it. You are defining king here. If you write here, it will give you Wanamera Machami. So you really need to, you come here. Yep, you can also display, but I mean, if you display it here before you even set the grade, then you will. Okay, can you run?
This is the king one.
Yep, age 0,
This is the John.
student name John, and so of course king, we did not set his name, we did not set his age, we only set his grade. That's why it couldn't really print all the detailed information. But for student, we already set all. So having a proper constructor, this is accepted in certain ways. So if you would like to, you don't really know maybe the student details at the time you created this class, it is totally fine. But make sure you don't display that when, I mean, it's not proper that you print out null and zero like that. Okay, so definitely there will be more proper way that you are able to display information. So sometimes in certain systems that, okay, you know that you need to create a student that's called King, but King did not yet key in all his details. So you need to accept that. You need to give him time. Maybe, okay, he set his grade, but not the other details. So maybe it's more proper that in the default constructor, we can say a proper message instead of null and zero, because there is no student that his age is 0. So maybe we can say NA or TPD, to be determined later, or TPL also is possible. So you can say TPL also here. So how you do that? So inside your default constructor, you can, although you got no input, but you have the freedom that you are able to set the content of your internal variables to whatever value that you think is suitable. So maybe age, you are not able to set because this is again, age is an integer, so you are not able to set that to TPL. Let me see. So if we keep it 0, I think the only way that to keep it 0, because we cannot write TPL inside. Are you sure? Is that, am I telling the correct thing, or you have a different opinion? Or did I go to too much details that you are lost from me? I think you are lost from me.
I think I lost.
Okay. So can you please remind me again, where did you manage to get the last information from my side? I mean, what did you manage to catch the last?
I managed to catch on about the king, on how we can get the information.
Okay. Can you go to the default constructor inside the class? We have 2 constructors inside the class, student, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Where is the empty constructor? Excellent. Okay. So, okay, actually, your performance today is actually much greater than any other class. I salute you here. So it is true that this is totally empty. We put nothing inside, but we have the freedom to say. So you can just press this a few enters here, so we can. Can you press enter? Yep. So inside this dot name, so you put here TPL. Okay, that is great. Just run, please. Did you see what I tried to do here?
Yeah.
So again, can you try to call display on any other student? So you managed to set details in King, but what about Daniel? Can you call Daniel? Can you call display on the Daniel and see what is stored in his class? So Daniel.display. Excellent. Can you run? Okay. So yes, this is Daniel. So we see no information about Daniel, but just the name is TPL. So, okay, can you realize the beauty here of one thing? So typically, if you don't have class, it means that you need to write this TPL for how many students that you have. You have here this and this also have TPL. You didn't need to do that for every student. You just created the template code that work with every student that you create. Every time they will set, you call the default constructor with empty things, he will automatically write TPL for you. He write here TPL. If you go down also, can you go down? Do you see also TPL?
Yeah.
Right? So, okay. Did you start to realize that maybe classes, if we work with it correctly, maybe, or if we design it correctly, maybe it will reduce the amount of code that we can write in a bigger project?
Yeah,
Can you,
I think I get it.
you get that?
So yeah, I get it.
Okay. Can I listen to some of your inputs here, or some of your remarks?
On what?
On, I mean, on the code that we write now, just now, the student code.
So I realized that on classes, I can make sure that each class has its own value. And I can also, I don't have to put the value inside the main, but I can put also the value inside the classes, and it will come up. It's
Okay.
in display. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you, yeah, that is, I think you already managed to touch the strong understanding of the usage of classes. So let me please share some code with you. I mean, and let us continue the yeah, you didn't show me yet the second exercise.
That's right.
Okay, so what is it about? Do you understand what is the purpose of me giving you that code?
You want me to using the current timeless system, and then give the results for it, and
Okay.
give it the math power of 2.5.
Can you run first and we discuss about that?
So it shows us how the code execute, how many milliseconds, right?
Yes. So this code, we are measuring here which code execution time. So this measurement, 18 milliseconds, is for what? It's measuring what?
It's measuring how the code is executed, how
fast?
how fast the code is executed.
Excellent. Okay. Which part of the code that we are measuring? Can you highlight to me from which line to which line?
Measuring from this to this.
Excellent. Excellent. Yes. And why, I mean, why it's 18 milliseconds? Is it large or it's actually little in your opinion? This 18 milliseconds.
18 milliseconds is little.
Okay. Can you reduce 2 zeros from here? Okay, run please. Can you notice? So you run 10,000 times in 0 milliseconds. Can you realize that? Is that something that clear to you?
Yeah, it's clear.
0 milliseconds. So, okay, what about if you add 3 zeros? Run, please. So when I add 3 zeros, it executes from in 135 millisecond. Am I right?
Yeah.
And when it was only 2 zeros that we was having, so it was 18 millisecond. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. And the total, the final results, what is this different between this result, what is this? What is this number? This is what?
It's on how it's on how
Do you know what this function is doing first in the first place?
yeah, it's adding the math power of 2.5, right?
Yes. So for every time it runs, it will raise that I number to the 2.5 power, and then it will get the result and add it here. Am I right?
Yeah, the results.
Is that clear to you?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. So Daniel, this technique, most of the juniors does not use it. Okay. So only senior programmers will be able to put code inside here or make a function call. Maybe they create a method and then they put the method call inside here and then they run it between these two lines and then they display the result. So this code is replaceable. So this is a template that you can always use. You can remove that code, put any code that you want to test the speed of it, and then you can maybe you created two methods and every method is designed differently. Okay, so there is many ways to write pieces of code. So maybe I write a class and then I write some calculation inside the class, and then I would like to know if I create maybe 1,000 student class from this design. So what will be the execution time? And what about if I have a different design for the student class, or maybe a different colleague claims that his student class design is better than others? So the only proof that you can tell, okay, which design is better than others, so you put it here. You create here maybe the method or the student class calculation that you want to put here, and then you test each, and then you will see when you create 1,000 student class from this design one, what will be the execution time, and when we create 1,000 from design 2, what will be the execution time? And then based on that, we have a reality, we have something in real to say, oh, which design is better. Design is better, it means that it's readable and its execution time is okay, is good, is compared to others. So we cannot claim, oh, my design is good without a proof. This is a proof. This is how you prove that a design is efficient or not. It consumes less computing power or not. Did I make myself clear, or it's still confusing?
No, yes,
It is fine if it is confusing, because I know that this is something that later on you will get a sense of it. I just totally understand. But if you just understand maybe 30% of what I say now, then once I show you later, I prove to you later how it looks like, then you'll understand. So did you understand 30% or 40% of what I say?
No, I actually understand on what you're trying to explain.
Okay, that's good. That is excellent. So, okay, I would like you to please close and let me continue. Okay, I was preparing something for you from the previous class. Let me check if I have it still in place or I close it. Okay, let me see. Pseudocode. Structure. Unfortunately, I have to delay this portion to the next class, but never mind. Okay, so in the previous class, can you still remember? Let me see. We talk about can you can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So in the previous class, we talk about a characters that we created, which is a part of a character in a game. And we only talk about little things inside that class, which is the place where we need the character to appear on the screen. So we have a center X and center Y, okay? And then we have a display and we have an update method. So typically, this is called class diagram. So we represent classes in a diagram like that. This kind of box that you see is called class diagram. Sometimes in your software, you have many classes and you don't want to, inside the design that you make, where you want to see the interactions between different classes, you don't want to write code. You just want to represent a class using a box like that, and we call that box class diagram. This is the name of the class, and this is the constructor of the class. How I know that this is a constructor? Because it carries the same name like the class, and it takes variables. So, and we know that this is attributes, or this is class variables. And this is class methods. Okay, so this method is designed inside the sprite class. Okay, so far it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talk here about constructor, but let me, okay, so tell me if you understand anything from that line.
Call out the sprite class and putting the value of 30.0 and 50.0, right? For Excel
Yes,
one.
yes. So this will be saved in which variables?
The 30 will be X and the 50 will be Y.
Excellent. Okay, and then so it means that once I design this sprite class, we are able to create players, different players, which is like at the end, it's a character inside the game, and then we can pass them different values. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. And we are able, okay, now have a look here. So can you still, are you able to recognize what is that doing?
It's calling it's putting the position for each sprite player, right?
Is
In
is
the
it
center.
is it putting the center, or is
Yes.
it calling
It's,
the center?
mm,
So is it displaying something, or is it setting a new value for the center X?
it's putting in the center.
I would argue with you. Okay, if you have the code from the last time that you created this sprite class, can you please write these 4 lines and tell me what is going to be printed out for you? What do you see on your screen? I think is it difficult to do that?
No, it's not. Ish. All right, I got it.
Okay, and so what is appearing in front of your eyes? Can you tell me?
It's appearing 30, 40, 30, 40, 30, 40.
30, 40.
30, 40.
Okay, and is that displaying or setting? Did you set anything? Okay, so in front of your eyes here, this is the value that you set for player one, right?
Yeah.
Is that the same value that is appearing to you here from these lines?
For okay, wait. Sorry. Okay. I think I put the wrong. Okay, got it. 30, 50, 10, 40. All right, I got it.
So, okay, so what is being printed out for you is what actually you put here. Am I right? What you put during the constructor, what values you passed to the character during the constructor. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. So are you setting it or are you just retrieving it?
Just retrieving it.
Okay, that is good so far. Okay. Can I know if you try to set like this, is it possible? Can you do that? Can you try this line and tell me if it works?
Mhm. Yeah, the line works, but I didn't tell.
So you have
Then
to put that first to be able to tell really if it is really worked or not.
okay, I got it. It gives out 100.
Okay, that is excellent. So, okay, that is totally fine. Then let me now try to touch a bit complicated topic. So it is fine that if we find it difficult at the start, but I will try my best to simplify that. Okay, but it's totally fine if you find it so difficult, huh? Because yeah, I know that many programmers even they're writing code for 1 or 2 years, but they still not very clear about that. So that's why I'm telling you it's a difficult topic. So you know that we have data types that is called integer, double, and Boolean, right? We remember that we created that kind of data types before, variables
Yeah.
of this integer, double, and Boolean, right? So we call that data types primitive type. So why we call them primitive? Because of this behavior that I will explain to you. So you see here, we set x equals 3. So it means that inside the memory location for the variable x that we reserved to be able to carry values of integer type, data type, it's carrying 3, so far x, okay? And then when we put x equal y, so this is the memory location for x inside the RAM, okay? And I mean inside the memory of the computer. And then when I say x equal y, so we will take the value that we stored in x and we will copy it and put it in the new place that we reserved for y. So here we are reserving a new place in the memory. We call it y. So inside the memory, this is the RAM. You will find here X, and you find here Y. X have 3, and once we execute that line, we copy whatever stored in X here. We put a copy from it inside Y. So the point here that I want to tell that now X and Y are totally separate. They are not related. Even though I put X equal Y, it doesn't mean that they have any connection to each other. It is just that they have the same value at the moment, but they are not connected in any way. This is a different memory address inside the computer memory, and this is a totally different place in the computer memory. They have no connection. Is that so far clear, or I need to simplify it more? Or are you able to let me what you understand and what is confusing you? Maybe then I can start to simplify.
Maybe you could simplify it more. I can't really
Get
Yeah.
what is that?
You're saying that Y and X has a different memory, something?
Different memory locations. So they are stored in separate memory locations.
Yeah.
So they are different entities. They are not related. So okay, let me try to say it this way. You are living in a house, right?
Yeah.
And this house have a number?
Okay. Yeah.
It have a number, right?
Yeah.
Oh, what is the number of the house?
8.
Okay, that's great. So do you think that, let me assume that you are living in Johor. Do you think that other houses in KL, for example, does not use the number 8?
No.
So this number 8 is not reserved for you only, right?
Yeah.
There can be other houses that is called 8, right? That have
Yeah.
this. Okay, that's great. So if we say that there is a house in Johor that have number 8 and house in KL that have number 8 also, can we say they are stored in the same place or they are totally separate entities? So the house in KL that is in one of the commands that have a group of houses and still have number 8, and there is another house in Johor that still have number 8. Are they the same or different?
They are different.
But they still have number 8.
Yeah, they still have the same number.
Okay, so what I want to say is that imagine that this integer x, it is a house, it is a place in the reality that is reserved for the house. So x is a place in reality, but okay, it's not in reality. I mean, it's in the memory. This time we're not talking about a house because x is just a place in the memory, but it is occupying a space. In the house is occupying a space on the ground, and x is occupying a space in the memory. So far, is it okay like that? If I try to connect between the house and x,
Okay, right.
is it acceptable so far?
Yeah, acceptable.
Okay, so what I want to say is that I try to mimic or copy the number 8 for the house in Johor, and then I try to create another command that have similar numbers. So this is totally different entity. I reserve a place for a house in KL, and then I start calling the houses with the same numbers that I give to the houses in Johor. So I here say that this is house 8, and I also put a number here 8 for the house in KL. This is have a separate land, and this is totally different land. Both of them having the same number. So I can say that the house in Johor have the same dimensions So it have width and maybe height, or maybe just three different dimension. Width, how to say, how if we want to describe a house in Johor, how we describe it? We can say length, width, and height. Am I right? Length, width,
Yeah.
and height. Can we say like that?
Yeah.
And also the house in KL is done by maybe the same developer. So we have length, width, and height exactly the same like the house in Johor. And we have also the same numbering. So this exact same house have the same number in Johor, but they are totally different entities. You can, somebody, you own this house in Johor, but you don't own that house in KL. It's owned by somebody else. It can be owned by maybe an Indian family, for example. Okay.
Yeah.
So is, yes, it is done by the same developer and it's built up by maybe the same people, but this have a maybe same 8 as a numbering, and also here same, but it is owned by different people. It's not owned by you, not necessarily by you. And maybe in Kedah, you also have a house that have same dimensions and maybe even same look, and also have 8 as a number, but it's not owned by you. It's owned by different people. Can we say like that?
Yeah, I think I understand.
So in the memory, it is exactly the same. X have
Yes.
some content, which is 3, and we created Y, and Y occupy a different place in the memory that is totally separate from X. We just put whatever X is, so X is 3 here. So we put the same inside Y, but again, they are totally separate entities. Each have its own place in the memory, and they are totally separate, and they are totally owned by different people. And this 3 is owned by X, and this 3 is owned by Y, and they are not related to each other. So far, is that so far clear?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, that is good. So this is a good start. Let me see here. Let me see. Are you able to write this code, please? That you see here on the screen. Okay.
Mhm.
Can you share your screen, please?
But I'm done. I have an error on player 3. I think your mic is muted.
So where is the error, please, if you don't mind?
Oh, player 3. But
Okay.
because we didn't initialize it at first, but I
Okay.
put null besides.
Okay. Can you run, please? So may I understand why do you think we are getting this error?
Because center X for player 3 and player 2 has a null value. Cannot read.
So okay. So what you did here when you say null, so you reserved a place inside the memory for a variable called or an object called player3, but you did not create your class yet. You did not construct your class yet. So imagine that you are a developer, house developer, and you reserved a place of land and you said, I want to build a house of this design in this land. So what is the design? The design is described in the sprite. Okay, but you did not build it yet. So you say null, this is an empty land. You said, oh, this is reserved. But you did not build anything yet. So that's why you say it's null. It's empty land. Okay, you try to access the second level on an empty land, then you typically get an error. How can you access the second level on a house that is not built yet? Can you? In reality, cannot. So unless you call the constructor to build for you the class, and by building the class, it means that you create the variables x, center x and center y, then you're able to call them like that. So far, when you put null, it's like reserving a land without building anything inside it. Did I make myself clear, or it's still confusing to you why you are getting an error?
Yeah, well, yeah, you made yourself clear.
Okay. So, okay. Hmm. So how do you think we are able to actually solve that issue that we're having by getting this null? So how we fix that?
By putting a value inside the player 2 and player 3.
Okay,
Fix
now
it.
I think you changed that. It was 2 initially. Can you please put it 2 again? Can you run? So you are facing the same problem, right? So I
Yeah,
would like you to read that, please. This is an exception, and this is a well-known exception. It's called null pointer exception. So a null pointer exception is when you call, this is totally programming, have no relation to real life. So if player is null, if you have something that is null, you cannot call a method on it, or you cannot assign a value to it. Okay, so if you have something null like that, you cannot call center X on that, because it have nothing there. Okay, so far clear? Or
Yeah, it's clear.
okay. By reaching this level at the moment, I would say we will end our class today, and we will continue next class to talk about still classes and objects. So yeah, let's talk next class. Okay. Do you have any questions to me so far?
No.
Do you think that you benefit from the class?
Yeah, I think I benefit from the class. It taught me around about the center together, about what the null value, what the null value do, and null value do, and why it shows an error over at on the screen. Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Do you notice any? So I still did not. We did not test yet your programming skill in writing longer code. I'm not able to do that on a longer class time, so that we still able to progress. But do you test your coding skill even on your PHP project? Are you working on your PHP project or not yet?
Currently right now, I'm about to start to, yeah.
Okay, okay, that's good. Okay, then yeah, let's see next class how we can improve on that. Okay, see you next class.